by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. There are three kinds of yoga, namely Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Devotees, Jnanis, and Yogis all try to get out of the mental entanglement. The Jnanis try to detach their sensual activities from mental engagement. The Jnana Yogi thinks that matter is false and that Brahman is truth. He tries, therefore, by cultivation of knowledge, to detach the senses from material enjoyment. The Ashtanga Yogis also try to control the senses. The devotees, however, try to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, it appears that the activities of the bhaktas, devotees, are better than those of the jnanis and yogis. The mystic yogis simply try to control the senses by practicing the 8 divisions of yoga: yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, etc. And the jnanis try by mental reasoning to understand that sense enjoyment is false. But the easiest and more direct process is to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. The purpose of all yoga is to detach one's sense activities from this material world. The final aims, however, are different. Jnanis want to become one with the Brahman effulgence. Yogis want to realize Paramatma, and devotees want to develop Krishna consciousness and transcendental loving service to the Lord. The loving service is the perfect stage of sense control. The senses are actually active symptoms of life, and they cannot be stopped. They can be detached only if there is superior engagement. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, param drishtva nivartate. The activities of the senses can be stopped if they are given superior engagement. The supreme engagement is engagement of the senses in the service of the Lord. That is the purpose of all yoga. That's in the Bhaktivedanta purport. Etava neva yogena samagre neha yogina yujyate bimato iyarto yad asangastu Krishna saha. The greatest common understanding for all yogis is complete detachment from matter, which can be achieved by different kinds of yoga. So here in this chapter we are reading, Lord Kapila Deva is instructing his mother Devavati, and today's verse actually is in continuation with the last verse also. I got the last verse also here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is the complete transcendental knowledge. But according to different process of understanding, he appears differently, either as impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or as the Purusha Avatara. So, here Prabhupada in this today's purport also, he begins actually, there are 3 kinds of yoga. The Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti Yoga, they are devotees. Jnana Yoga, who is practicing the process, they are jnanis. And Ashtanga Yoga process, who are practicing, are called yogis. But all try to get out of material entanglement. We are all in this material world. We have this material body. And our soul is engaged in this material body, and we are all entangled actually. So whole process of yoga means yoga indriya samyamya. The process of yoga means to, it is mentioned, yoga indriya senses, samyama, that is, we have to control. So you take any process of yoga, it is meant for controlling the senses, controlling the mind. Today it has become very fashion, correct? A lot of people go for yoga class and all these things. but they don't follow all this practice given in the scriptures actually. That's why it's all not bona fide. They will not achieve the desired result to get free from this metal entanglement. They get more and more entangled because there are a lot of so-called spiritual organization. They say you do some yoga, some meditation for some part of your day, maybe you spend some half an hour or so. Then you go on doing whatever you want throughout the day. It has no bearing. But that is not the case actually. So we have to control our mind and senses. And particularly when we have this human form of life, we can correct our mistake, what we have done, we cannot achieve in other forms of life. That's why this human form of life is very important. So, if you see in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Dhyana Yoga, because we know Krishna is speaking of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and is concluding in the 6th chapter. So, there also, when Arjuna was advised by Lord Sri Krishna personally, when he was instructing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna immediately said, Krishna, it is very difficult. Chanchalahai mana Krishna. This mind is very fickle. It's very difficult to control our restless and turbulent mind, Arjuna is saying. So Prabhupada says, Arjuna was a pure devotee. He is a Nitya Siddha. He is an associate of Lord. He is saying that, and that too 5,000 years before. And today we are in such a messy world, correct? Full of entanglement. Even when we are practicing, even when we are chanting, like we have been advised to keep off the mobile on a silent mode, and still actually there is something, some message coming, something we would like to see when class is there, chanting is going on, when you are chanting actually. So in Kali Yuga, particularly it's very, very difficult. That's why Krishna in the last verse of the 6th chapter he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmana shraddhavam bhajato yomam same yukta tamo mataha. So, and of all yogis, one with great faith. Shraddha is very important in spiritual life. For any practice, anything you do, we should have little faith. So here Krishna says, and all of yogis, one with great faith abides in me and always thinks of me. Prabhupada writes both the things. Abides in me and thinks of me within himself and render service unto him, unto Krishna. He is the topmost yogi, and this who says? Actually Krishna says, this is my opinion. Correct? And when Krishna says that is a perfect thing, is the Supreme Lord. So Krishna says, and of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. See, because this verse talks about Bhakti Yogi, Jnana Yogi, and Ashtanga Yogi. So, renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. So, Krishna is giving his verdict here very clearly. That is my opinion. Yukta tamo mataha. Mata means is considered, or this is my opinion. So Krishna's opinion is the highest opinion, and we know from 7th chapter to 12th chapter, the middle 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is explaining about what is this yoga. It starts from 7.1. So we have, and Prabhupada in one lecture he says, this is the prime instruction of the 6th chapter, to keep ourselves in Krishna consciousness all 24 hours of the day. It's not that Krishna, so Krishna consciousness is pervading all through day, evening, night. Throughout we have to be conscious of Krishna. That's all we are trying to become, correct? It's not that you ask many people go and preach that we also do some puja. You just try to inquire more. They say, yeah, after taking bath, we go to puja room, do some aarti, do some offering, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes in the morning. Sometimes they may do in the evening also. And they say that is actually bhakti or devotion. No. Krishna consciousness should pervade throughout the day in whatever activity. Just like we are doing our sadhana bhakti in the morning hours, 4-5 hours, Prabhupada has introduced. And then whatever we do, it is in connection with Krishna. That is also yoga. Like Arjuna was fighting, but he fought according to the instruction of Lord Sri Krishna. So that is also yoga. So this is how we have to cultivate this consciousness. And Prabhupada says, we are all rendering service, particularly many youngsters are here, you have given up your very lucrative job, earning lots of money, you have come here. Here you are not paid anything, correct? We are all doing voluntarily service. There is no remuneration, there is no salary. Why we are doing? Actually, we are impressed by this philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's not easy. People cannot easily give up these things. We are so attached, everybody in this world. Material world is created for that purpose. Whatever you want, you can try and do. But somehow, by the mercy of a pure devotee like Prabhupada and his institution, we all came in touch with some anga of devotional service, and we were attracted actually. So, Prabhupada says, otherwise it is not possible. That's why you see sometimes a small child accompanying it will be accompanied by the mother, father. When he sees the Aarti, Kirtan, he also starts clapping, singing, and doing something, correct? Because that is a natural characteristic of soul. But because we are engaged in this body, now that we have forgotten. So whole yoga process is but to revive this lost relationship with the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. So that is the definition of yoga. We have our relationship with Krishna. We are not forgotten. So what we are doing all these things in the morning, throughout the day, is to try to revive our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord. So when we revive this, actually that is called yoga. In that Yoginam Api Sarvesham, that purport also Prabhupada write, when this bhajate, when there is the need of service, actually the root word is bhajate. So, same yukta tamo mataha, when we render devotional service, actually, generally people render service, just like people go to office early in the morning, they rush up, they get ready, all these things. Why? When they go and serve the boss, the organization, they are paid. Correct? Everybody, the moment the employer stops paying, he will not go and work tomorrow actually. So this is how it is. Because there is a transaction, there is an exchange. But in devotional service, there is no motive. We should come to that stage. Anyabilashita kshunyam jnana karmadi anavratam anukulena krishnanusīlanam bhaktiruttamam. The pure devotional service is, it should be freed, no other desire than to take up the desire of the Lord. So, just like Prabhupada gave the same example, just like mothers serve the child out of love, so much inconvenience they take because there is a love. Similarly, we have our loving Father, Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, but now that love is covered, and it is just like Chaitanya Charitamrita says, it is nothing but what we are seeing in this world is nothing but lust, kama and prema. So by practicing the devotional service, we should come to the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God. Savai pumsa paro dharmo eto bhakti adokshaje. What is the highest dharma? Savai pumsa paro eto bhakti adokshaje. We should render bhakti, devotion to Adokshaja, the transcendental Lord. The supreme occupation for all humanity. It's not for only particular section or some Hindus. No, it's for all humanity, actually Prabhupada translated, by which men can attain loving devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God, Adokshaja. And it should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. There should not be any cause and effect here. We want to serve, because why? That is our real constitutional position. We have to serve. If we are not serving God, we serve some other, we serve our senses, our mind, and we serve some other, serve the society, serve the country. All these things happen. The service cannot be separated from the living entity. That's why when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatana Goswami, he said, Jivere Swarupahai Nityera Krishna Das. Nityera, eternally we are Krishna Das. That's why when we get initiated, we get Govinda Das, Krishna Das, Chaitanya Das, all these things. To reinforce that we are all Dasas. We are never the master, we are never the owner, we are not the enjoyer. That is our real constitutional position. So, and without any cause, and it cannot be checked. There cannot be, that's why there cannot be any impediment in the process of devotional service or bhakti. Whether somebody is rich, poor, educated, not educated, anybody can do service, correct? We are all engaged. Somebody is cooking, somebody is worshipping the Lord, somebody is managing the organization, somebody is raising finance, somebody is distributing literature. So we can be engaged in any different facet, we can be engaged in any service actually. So it does not call for any pre-qualification. Only thing, we should have the Shraddha, we should have faith in the words of the scriptures, in the word of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. Actually, we are all suffering. That's why Lord, out of compassion, He comes, He sends His representative because He wants us to reclaim. Just like Prabhupada gave a very good example, just like a rich man's son, when he's separated from his father, he's suffering actually. But somehow if he gets back to his father, all his economic problem is solved. Similarly, we have the richest father, but we are all busy in our own activity. So this is what is happening to the most of the population. So, and Prabhupada in a place he says, Krishna is very powerful. He knows my wants. So a devotee, right, initially when we come to devotional service, we go and pray. Generally, correct, we go and pray. We have some desire. We want to get good job, good alliance, or whatever it is. Generally, we go and pray initially, correct, to Lord. We have some desires like this. We should pass our examination. But when we come to the pure stage, actually, God knows what we want. Eko bhauna, what is that? Vidadati kama. Eko bhauna yo vidadati kama. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. We are eternal, God is eternal. And He is the one who is supplying the whole the living entity supplied by the Supreme Lord. So He knows. See, just like you see, ant gets his food quota. Elephant, it is getting his quota. So if we try to become devotee of the Lord, why will not be provided by the Lord? Definitely will be provided. So we should have this faith, we should have confidence in the words of the scriptures. Just like Prabhupada says in the early days of ISKCON, actually we were spending thousands of rupees actually. Prabhupada says, our monthly expenditure is some 80,000 rupees or 100,000 rupees. None of us goes to factory, none of us work. And we have cars and we have organization, all these things. Who is taking care actually? Actually, Krishna is providing everything. That's why sometimes you see our neighbors and all, Prabhupada mentioned, they become envious. What these people are just getting up in the morning, chanting, dancing, and they are living nice life, they say, and we are like parasite, they say. Actually, it's not parasite. We are doing that because this is the highest dharma, Bhagavatam says. Savai pumsa paro dharma. The highest dharma. There may be many dharma, taking care of parents and families and societies and all these things. That has also got a place. But when you talk of highest dharma, which Bhagavatam says, that's why it's a direct process. It's a direct process. Then in another place, Prabhupada quote this verse, actually very interesting verse. Prabhupada says, if somebody is not serving the Lord, what is going to happen to him? This is in 11th canto, 5th chapter, 3rd verse. Ye esham purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishwaram na bhajanti avajhananti sthanat brashta patanti adaha. If any of the members of the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead, who is the source of their own creation. We are all created by Lord. They will fall down from their position into a hellish state of life. So we have to serve the Lord. That is the only Savior. That's why, otherwise, here it is very clearly mentioned whether, that's why in that worship, we can avoid worshipping some personality. See, generally people worship devatas, they want something in return. Or somebody worship the powerful personality of this world because he is expecting some favor from that person. So that somebody can avoid. But we cannot avoid worshipping the Supreme Lord. So fail to worship or intentionally disrespect the personality of Godhead with the source of own, they will fall down from their position. So, and just like Prabhupada gives the example, just like finger is supposed to serve my whole body. See, Prabhupada's analogies are very nice, very easily, otherwise philosophically sometimes it's very difficult, technically all these things. But his analogies are very nice. He says finger is meant to serve my whole body. Because finger has no other business. Prabhupada humorously says, correct, if finger tries to enjoy gulab jamun or rasgulla on its own, it will be a disaster. No, finger has to lift the food, prasad, it has to put in the stomach. And once your belly is filled, automatically finger, hands, different senses also get energy. So similarly, if somebody, the same verse actually, correct, if somebody pours water to the root of the tree, or if somebody serves the stomach, automatically, similarly, you get the end result, correct? Similarly, if somebody serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Achyuta, then actually that is the highest perfection. In the 4th canto it is there, correct? Yatha tharor moola nishechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujo pashakaha. As pouring water on the root of the tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs and everything else, and supplying the food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of God through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality of God. So we don't, so when you are not worshipping devatas with a correct understanding, we have a genuine respect for the devatas because they are also part of the Supreme Lord and they are been assigned to do something in this material world. Everybody has got some function to play. So we don't disrespect. At the same time, we are worshipping the Supreme Personality of God. With the understanding, automatically everybody will be satisfied. So similarly, if the finger is giving some trouble, sometimes people get diabetic and other things. So doctors suggest that finger has to be amputated. It has to be cut off. Because if it is there, whole body will be disturbed actually. You'll get more and more problem. So similarly, we are all rebellious now. That's why we are all in this material world. Otherwise we were in spiritual world and serving the Lord lovingly out of our sheer rebellious nature. Like that, many from different angle it is analyzed, correct? We are all rebellious. Why Lord only should enjoy? Why not I enjoy? The moment this thought comes to us, we are actually put into this material world. And once we are in this material world, then the three modes of material nature acts on all of us actually. So, Prabhupada, he says, just like he gives example, man not abiding the laws is supposed to be a criminal. Because when we are good citizen means we have to abide by the law of the state. If we are not abiding the law of state, we are not good citizen. We become criminal. We can be put inside the prison house. So then being rebellious, we must be placed again in the service attitude. That is the perfect cure in this context, Prabhupada says. Just like the diseased finger, it has to be cut. That is the only option. Similarly, we are rebellious, and how it can be cured? We should be placed in the service attitude. That is the perfect cure of the living entity. Because the service cannot be separated. If you are not serving Lord, Prabhupada says we have to serve Maya. There is no other third option. So, why not serve the Lord and be glorious? Because devotional service is so glorious. Then Prabhupada says, all other yogas are but means to come to Bhakti Yoga. That's why if you see in last purport also, Prabhupada again bring the same point. Ultimately, to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one has to accept Bhakti Yoga. Because they are also different. Jnana Yoga and Paramatma about is speaking actually. By executing Jnana Yoga or Dhyana Yoga, one has to eventually approach the Bhakti Yoga platform. So ultimately we have to come to Bhakti. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita also. Bhaktyama abhijanati yavanyasasmi tattvataha. Only by Bhakti or devotional service we can know Krishna as He is. So these different types of yogas are mentioned because not that everybody will be able to surrender right. So different process, Krishna is taking Arjuna through all the different yogas so that for the common people, it's not that Arjuna is already knew about everything, the plan of the Lord. So Prabhupada gave an example, another example, just like a staircase is there. If you want to climb up 100 floors or 150 floors, there are two processes, correct? One, you can go step by step, floor by floor, you can walk. Or second thing is to take an elevator. You take a lift, you take an elevator, with the moment you are up there. So Bhakti Yoga is a direct and simple process. That's why in today's purport also Prabhupada writes, here you see. But the easiest and most direct process is to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Easiest and direct process. Because particularly we are living in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, Manda, we are all praye alpaisha sabhyaha. We are all short-lived. We are all very disturbed. We are all lazy. We are all misguided. And overall, we are all very disturbed. Everyone in this world. Some bhakta had gone recently to, he had gone with my partner. And he could immediately make out some rich person is waiting to meet him and he is full of anxiety and disturbance. You see, you go and see outside world, people always disturbed. Because that is the characteristic of the people of Kali Yuga, which is mentioned in the 10th, first chapter, first canto, 10th verse itself. It is mentioned actually. So, in these circumstances, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have got this direct process by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada says this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a special gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's a special gift. Not an ordinary gift, it's a special gift. That's why when Rupa Goswami met him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, he offered this prayer, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pidayate. You are the most munificent incarnation. Because when Krishna appeared 5,000 years before, he demanded us to surrender. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. That is a little heavy statement. Everybody is telling you, surrender unto me. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared, he gave this process of surrender. He said, 6 guidelines are there, we know. And he said, just by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, actually, we can achieve the perfection of life. Otherwise, Krishna also says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kachchidatate siddhaye. Out of many thousands and thousands of persons who have achieved perfection, hardly one will know me in truth. Tattvataha. To know Krishna in truth, actually, it's not an easy thing. See our fortune, actually, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are able to at least understand theoretically, and when we sincerely take to this and practice, then actually we can see it will be. And devotional service in the 9th chapter also, Krishna says in the confidential 9th chapter, confidential knowledge, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idamuttam Pratyakshagam Dharmam Susukam Kartamam. It is joyfully performed devotional service. Of course, in the morning, it is to get up in the morning, it's a little troublesome for all of us. Particularly winter season is a little tough. Correct? But you see now in Kumbh Mela, people are going to participate. There, people they just go in thousands, take dip in the early morning in Sangam and all these things. That was anyway the culture actually. So, this, all other different types of yoga we know from the scriptures. There are many examples like Vishwamitra Muni, Saubhari Muni. They are all practicing tough yoga, mystic yoga. Finally, they wanted to, Saubhari Muni went inside the deep water. Still he got agitated actually. So these process will not work, particularly in Kali Yuga. That's why the easiest process is to chant and engage in the service of the Lord and Lord's mission. So when you are engaged in this activity, Prabhupada, in that 9.2 Rajavidya verse, he says, in the purport he writes, devotional service is so potent, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. Actually, he's quoting from the Upanishad actually. There's a verse. There it is mentioned, devotional service is so potent, one becomes enlightened without a doubt. And Prabhupada gives the example of Narada Muni in that purport. Narada was engaged in his previous life as a son of a maid servant. He was not qualified. He was doing some menial job. Just like you see the son of a maid servant. He was access to all these Mahabhagavatas who were discussing during Chaturmasya. He was hearing, rendering service, and with their permission, took the remnants of Mahaprashadam. Just by doing these simple things, Narada Muni himself gave this account in the 5th chapter of the 1st canto. That this is how I got purified. So this is the process of purification. So devotion, everything, then Prabhupada writes in that purport, everything is revealed, everything was revealed to him automatically. So this is the process. When we chant, when we engage in serving the Lord's mission, Swayameva Spurati Hadaha, everything will be revealed. So we should be patient, because the more we do purer devotional service, when we render devotional in purity. So right now we are doing as a matter of duty, we are doing Vaidhi Bhakti. When we come to the stage of spontaneous Raganuga Bhakti, we just want to serve the Lord, that's all. That will be our goal. So that's why this nice comparison is made, and in today's purport also, Prabhupada ends this today's purport also saying that in beginning of the purport and end of the purport, Prabhupada mentioned, the purpose of all yoga is to detach one's sense activities from this material world. And he ends with a small sentence. That is the purpose of all yoga. The supreme engagement is engagement of the senses in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada also writes, the senses are actually active symptoms of life. You cannot curb the senses. We have to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.